There are so many skills out there to learn: coding, investing, maybe a new language. But what if I told you the single most important superpower isn't any one of them? Nope, it's the skill of learning how to learn itself. So let's dive into this master skill, meta learning.
Have you ever wondered about this? I mean, you see someone pick up a guitar or a complex piece of software and they just get it, almost instantly. Meanwhile, the rest of us might be struggling for months. So what's their secret? I can tell you, it's not just about talent or luck. There's a real framework behind it.
And that secret is meta learning. It's all about understanding how you learn best so you can master pretty much any skill way more effectively than most people. Today, we're going to break down the 6 fundamental principles that make this possible. And hey, trust me, you'll want to stick around for the 4th one. It is an absolute game changer. All right, first up, we have to talk about mindset. True mastery, the real deep stuff, isn't built overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The absolute foundation of learning anything well is dedicating yourself to it for the long haul. And the difference this makes is, well, it's staggering. Daniel Coyle, in his book, The Talent Code, found that people who commit to a skill long-term perform 400% better than people just looking for a quick win. 400%. That's the incredible power of pure dedication. Just look at the story of Gukesh Dammarraju, the world's youngest chess champion. He started playing when he was just 7 years old. His victory in 2024 wasn't some fluke. It was the result of a 17-year journey where his focus was on one thing and one thing only: chess. That's the power of a long-term vision right there. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that genius isn't born, it's built. It's forged through years and years of patience and relentless consistency. Mastering this mindset, that's step 1 on the path to mastering anything.
Okay, let's move on to our second principle. A long-term vision is absolutely essential, but it has to be combined with smart effort. See, not all practice is created equal. The key is to focus your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact.
And this is where the famous 80-20 rule comes in. You've probably heard of it. It basically says that for almost anything, 20% of your effort will get you 80% of your results. The secret to learning super fast is to identify and then just relentlessly practice that critical 20%. Let's make this real. Imagine learning video editing. The inefficient learner, they try to master every single effect, every plugin, every transition. They just get bogged down and totally overwhelmed. But the smart learner, they figure out the 20% of tools, like basic cuts, a few key transitions, and color grading that are used 80% of the time. They master those, and boom, they're producing amazing work in a fraction of the time. Okay, so you've got your long-term vision, and you're focusing on that vital 20%. Now, how you practice is everything. You have to prepare for the real world, not just a theory and a quiet room.
I absolutely love this analogy because it just makes so much sense. Practicing in a nice, quiet, isolated room, that's like climbing stairs. Performing it in front of a real audience, under pressure, that's climbing the mountain. They are 2 completely different worlds.
For a really powerful example of this, just look at the Indian Army's high-altitude warfare school. They don't train soldiers for mountain combat in a comfy classroom. No way. They train them in the Himalayas, in brutal weather, carrying full gear, the exact conditions they'll face on a real mission. This makes sure that when the time comes, they aren't just theoretically prepared, they are experientially ready. All right, we've covered some really crucial ground, but I want you to pay close attention to this next one. Seriously, this is the principle that truly separates the amateurs from the masters. It's the difference maker. So the concept is called desirable difficulty. And yeah, it sounds a little weird, right? But it basically means that real deep learning only happens when things are hard. Your comfort zone, that's where progress goes to die. To grow, you have to step into discomfort, you have to experiment, and you even have to risk failure. Think of it like this. If you only ever practice problems you already know how to solve, like 2 + 2, you're not learning anything new. Growth happens when you tackle something just outside your current ability, like figuring out multiplication for the very first time. By embracing these challenges, you turn them into brand new skills.
You know who embodies this mindset perfectly? The superstar Shah Rukh Khan. When he was asked about his success, he said that lots of people work hard to become successful, but his secret is that even after achieving all that success, no one can work as hard as him. He is constantly pushing his own boundaries, never ever settling. That right there is the essence of desirable difficulty.
So you're pushing yourself into that difficult territory. That's awesome. But how do you know if you're pushing in the right direction? Well, this brings us to our fifth principle, feedback. Practicing without feedback is like trying to navigate a forest without a compass. Sure, you're moving, but you might just be going in circles.
A fantastic business example of this is the incredible turnaround of Tata Motors. They were losing customers because their cars were seen as outdated. So what did they do? They listened. They actively listened to customer feedback. And they used that feedback to completely overhaul their cars, focusing on design, features, and safety. The result was the Tata Nexon, a hugely successful car that helped them win back customer trust and become a market leader all over again.
And that leads us perfectly to our final and maybe the most powerful principle of all. The absolute fastest way to get high-quality feedback and navigate all these challenges is to find someone who has already walked the path.
Look, you can absolutely learn on your own, but it's the long, winding road filled with mistakes you really don't have to make. A mentor, on the other hand, provides a direct path. They've already made the mistakes, they've discovered the shortcuts, and they can guide you right past all